Hey guys, my name's Natalie Hodson. I'm a single mom of 2 young kids, ages 8 and 5. I'm a blogger, I'm an author, and I'm a businesswoman. And in today's video, we are gonna pull back the blinds and talk about the things that people never usually talk about. Things like divorce, things like debt, things like, it's a little bit embarrassing, but accidentally peeing your pants if you laugh, cough, sneeze, or jump on a trampoline. And so my hope is that by the end of the video today, we can start to begin the conversation that perfection is a myth. It's a myth. Nobody's perfect. And the best way to see success is to show yourself grace while following a solid plan. So you might be watching this thinking, okay, that's fun to hear from this blonde-haired girl who has a perfect kitchen. Well, let me just show you the real side of things, okay? Like many of you, probably when I go to take a picture on social media, oftentimes I shove my clutter corner off to the side so I can get my picture, right? I put on this cute yellow top. The reality is, I have my sweatpants on underneath still, right? So many times what you see on social media isn't really what's happening in real life. And so my hope is that we can open this conversation, begin to realize that perfection isn't a myth and it's not even really healthy. And so I'm gonna show you some ways that I failed in the past. I tried to be perfect and how I learned and changed my mindset that actually owning your imperfections and owning your story is the most wholehearted way to live. I'll tell you a little bit about my story, but before I go into all that, let me tell you a story. So rewind a couple years ago, I was filming these workouts for this company I own, Dollar Workout Club, and I was wearing gray shorts, and the workout was almost entirely made of jumping exercises, right? Like jumping side to side, jumping up and down. And mind you, at this point, I had had 2 10-pound babies. So we're doing the workouts, and all of a sudden in my head, I'm like, uh-oh, I'm peeing my pants. I'm jumping side to side, peeing my pants, but I couldn't cut the workout. And so I'm wearing these gray shorts, and it's, in hindsight, in fact, we can share some video of it. Like at the beginning, you can see this little gray spot, and eventually the spot gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And by the end, I'm contorting my body in every way possible. So that way you can't see my butt was covered and in pee, right? And so the whole workout was jumping exercises. And we cut, and I'm like, you guys, I peed my pants. And I was laughing at the time, but really it was because I was so embarrassed. And so in that moment, I literally wanted to take that tape and bury it underground. I did not want to admit to anybody that I had peed my pants during a workout. Hello, that's one of the things you talk about in a room full of girlfriends, but you don't want to admit to the world that you pee your pants. And so I didn't talk about it. And so a little bit about, that story is going to play a role here in a second. So a little bit about myself. I was a history major in school. Never thought I'd be in the fitness industry. Accidentally fell into the fitness industry is what I always say. When I had my babies, I gained 70 pounds with each pregnancy. I was way out here. And I struggled with this thing where my abs were really, really separated. I didn't know at the time it was this weird word called diastasis recti, but because my babies were so big, my abs got really separated. And then after I had the babies, my abs muscles didn't really come back together properly. So I still looked pregnant even though I wasn't, and it was really confusing to me, and I didn't understand why. And I just thought, well, I guess this is just part of motherhood. And then I had the issues with peeing my pants, and so I had this company, and I was going through life. I mean, we had my husband and I at the time had a lot of struggles. We were in $170,000 in student loan debt, which we were able to get out of using Dave Ramsey's program. We went through an ectopic pregnancy with 2 beautiful kids, but then we went through a divorce, and we don't really have time to go in all the ins and outs of the details here. I have a lot more info on my page if that's something that you've gone through and you're struggling with as well. But after my divorce, I was like, okay, my back's against the wall. I don't have child support. I don't have alimony. I have to figure this out. And so because I had been a blogger, what I did is I said, okay, what am I gonna do? So I looked at my Google Analytics on my website, and I said, all right, well, my audience is already telling me what they're interested in, and so I'm gonna make offers around each of those topics. I took my top 5 blog posts. Well, guess what? The top 2 blog posts or that weird word called diastasis recti, the separation of your ab muscles. And even though it doesn't at first make sense, that's related to peeing your pants during exercise. So, and at the same time, I ran into a dear friend of mine from college, Dr. Monique Middlecoff, and she had just gotten her PhD, and she did a lot of her PhD research on this specific area. So I was making a joke about it. I was with a bunch of girlfriends and I was like, oh yeah, that's part of motherhood. Like, don't jump on a trampoline anymore, you're gonna pee your pants. Don't laugh too hard, you're gonna pee your pants. And she was like, Natalie, just because that's common doesn't mean that it's normal or even healthy, and it can be improved. And at first I was super defensive. I was like, okay, well, you go have 2 10-pound babies and then we'll talk. And we kind of dismissed it. And then later that night I started thinking about it. And so I like private messaged her on Facebook. I was like, Monique, are you serious about what you said there? And she's like, oh my gosh, Natalie, yes. Like, you don't have to be embarrassed about this. This is like part of female anatomy that never gets talked about and can be improved if people are willing to start having the conversation. And so she said, let me put you through these weird exercises. So she put me through these weird exercises and it 100% worked. And at that point I thought, I have to write a program on this, because I know that if I was embarrassed to talk about it, so many other women are embarrassed to talk about it, but if it can be improved, we need to do something about it. And so we ended up writing an ebook. At that point, I had built an audience based on talking about the things that really nobody talks about. I had made a video that went viral that showed my stretched skin after pregnancy. And so people, I talked about losing a baby and the ectopic pregnancy. I talked about the pain of my divorce and how, you know, my ex-husband's new girlfriend would walk into the gym and I would feel ashamed. You know, I started writing about all the real painful topics that nobody ever talks about. And so I came out with this program with Dr. Monique Middlecoff, Abs, Core, Pelvic Floor, and we released it, and it was like wildfire all of a sudden. And I had to have a real heart-to-heart with myself. I had to say, okay, Natalie, are you willing to tell the whole world that you used to pee your pants? And, but I did, I got over it. And in the last 18 months, we've helped over 50,000 women go through our program and seen incredible results. And so if you're sitting here thinking, hello, I pee my pants and all my girlfriends do too, don't worry, we have a lot of free information on our YouTube channel. But what I really wanted to, the heart of what I wanted to get at, and the reason that I brought that whole story up is because for years and years and years, I believed that I had to be perfect. That in order for me to be loved by other people, I had to be perfect all the time. And what I realized and what I was humbled by when I went through my divorce, when I lost a baby, when I had stretched skin after carrying 2 10-pound babies, when I would pee my pants, when I would exercise, is that one, perfection is a myth. What you see on Instagram isn't real most of the time. And two, once you begin to forgive yourself for mistakes that you've made in the past, and once you begin to understand that you don't always have to be perfect, it's this like insane shift that happens, is that when you begin to show yourself more grace, you can then more wholeheartedly show other people grace. And the more you show yourself love and self-care, the easier it becomes to show other people love. And that messed with me for a while, because I thought, I love my kids so much, I love my family so much, and I felt like it was selfish to take care of myself. And it wasn't until I started to really focus on, you know, I would want love and appreciation so badly from other people, but I would have this underlying level of resentment, right? If I didn't get the love and appreciation that I wanted back. And so what I started to learn is that I had to give that love and appreciation to myself before I could expect it from anybody else. And that's really hard to do as moms. It's really hard, especially when we feel tapped out, when we feel like we have no time, that nobody really cares or maybe appreciates us. And it was hard. It's still hard. I still struggle with it. And so I'm gonna give you a couple tips that I hope they really helped me, and I hope that they'll help you guys too. So what I had to shift my head and my mind around is that there's 3 realms, right? There's God's realm, there's other people's realm, and there's your realm. And it's really easy to get angry at God and say, God, why did you do this to me? Why did you make me lose a baby? Why did you, X, Y, and Z? But really we have no control over God's realm. We can get mad and angry about it, but we can't change it. And then there's other people's realms. So we can get so mad at our spouse or our kids or our neighbor or our sisters or our girlfriend or our parents or whoever it is, right? And we can say, why did they do this, this, and this? It hurt me so bad when they did this, this, and this. And, but at the end of the day, does that really work? Does that really work for you? Because you can't change how other people act. And then there's your realm. And that's the biggest thing that I've learned, is that you know, at the end of the day, we can blame God, we can blame other people, but our realm, we're the only ones that really, we have the ability to change. And we have the ability to change our perception and to change the beliefs that we're telling. How many times do you find yourself telling a little white lie or putting up a perfect picture on Instagram, but that wasn't like really honestly how you felt or who you were or what was going on in the moment, but you wanted the appreciation from other people, you wanted the attention, and so you put up a perfect picture. Hello, I've done it so many times, I'm super guilty of it. But the truth is, the more often you put up a false picture of yourself, the harder it is to accept love from other people, because subconsciously we just start to believe, well, they're just loving the fake version of me, they don't love the real me. And so one of the things I've learned over the years is that the more often we tell our own honest story, the more often we tell the messy parts, the nitty gritty, the things that make you feel uncomfortable to talk about, the videos of peeing your pants, the talking about a divorce, talking about the struggles of being a single mom, and not that it's perfect all the time. The more often we share our real stories, then that's when real deep connection happens. And what starts to happen is that you start to tell your story and people will start to tell their story. And the more you can be honest with yourself and the more you can love yourself through your imperfections and your mistakes, the easier it becomes to love other people and become less judgmental towards their imperfections and their mistakes, because we're all human and we all make mistakes. And going back to what I said earlier, perfection is a myth. And so I'm gonna be sharing the day with you guys. I'm gonna be going through my story. And to be honest, I felt a little bit nervous about doing Feature Friday, because on this Feature Friday, my kids are with their dad. And I started to judge myself, and I started to say, and I started to think, how could I possibly be a feature for a mom's page when I don't even have my kids that day? And then I started to say, hold on, Natalie, stop. Perfection is a myth. This is the reality of your life right now. And guess what? There's probably other women who don't have their kids sometimes. Sometimes they have to share custody too, and maybe they'll relate to some of the feelings that you're going through as well. So here's my challenge to you guys. Begin to share your story. Begin to share the messy. Begin to share the raw, the wholehearted version of yourself. And in the process, what you'll learn is you'll naturally want to start doing a social media cleanse. You're going to want to stop following people that only show perfect. You're going to start attracting people who are honest and who are more understanding towards other people's truths. And it's hard, and it's really hard, and it's a constant practice, and it gets easier, but it still usually feels uncomfortable. So that's my challenge to you guys. I'm really excited to spend the day with you. I hope that you can continue to follow me and learn more about me and my family, and that I can learn more about you and your family, because the truth is we're all in this together and we're all figuring it out. And there's so many days literally where I'm just thinking to myself, I actually don't even know what to do. Like, parenting is really hard and I actually don't know what to do right now. And it's in those moments where I can call upon you guys and call upon our tribe, and we can come together and do this motherhood thing together without judgment. So I love you guys. I appreciate your time today, and we'll chat soon.